Okay, so we're going to sort of spontaneously go into this because we like to make it as casual as possible in the hope that people out there will look and say, well, if that idiot can do it, surely we can. This is Mark in the background, anyone. Mark, who's an artist in the shop. Come and look at his stuff, it's really nice, but that's who he is. Anyhow, we are doing the podcast in the S.H.O.P, the Social Hub of Positivity, and we've got yet another wonderful person who is here today, Joanne Barker. Am I right?
You are.
For me, that was quite amazing. Literally told me 2 minutes ago. Now, I have met you before, which was lovely, and you're part of the Wiltshire Health Alliance, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right, so I don't think anyone needs to hear from me much more. Obviously, I will interrupt at certain points because I've got one of those sort of brains. So if I do talk over you or annoy you at any point, I want you to hold it back until your own podcast, then don't invite me on. Yeah, so Joanne, how are you? Tell us all who you are, what you're doing, so people get an idea and hopefully inspired and ways to link into you if they so wish. Yeah. But also, I like the idea that you are motivated to do something in response to something you believe in. Yeah. Quite like Claire, actually, who's a stalwart of this parish. He said laughingly, as if we adhere to such absurd old traditions. Am I right? Anyway. Yeah. Thank you so much. I didn't say that about Claire just because she happened to make proper coffee.
It's
because
timing.
She's a fantastic artist. Yeah. She's obviously quite into the deeper elements of life and questions, and I always admire that in people. Now, I get that the majority of people just kind of toe the line. That's unfortunately why we've got such a savagely poor, underperforming, not just national, international governments, but on a local level, appalling. Over to you, Joanne.
Okay, where do I start? I definitely think outside the box, and in 2020 I was working for the NHS and I literally was on my knees. I was depressed, I was so unhappy, I didn't know where I was going, and I used to just stare out the window and just say, I just want to come back home. I didn't know where that was until I went on a bit of more of an inner journey, and I took a risk and I left my job with no job to go to. And I found a way to lever my income through.
Right, before we get onto that next bit, can I just backtrack slightly? Because I'm a big fan of the NHS in its principle. Yeah. I mean, obviously I'm not going to defend each and every element of it and each and every or individual, as I won't with local government or local grant giving authorities or national government. But I will name individuals because they need to be separated from the mass. So, but in such a cumbersome, almost cumbersome by design, actually, I think that there's lots of principles that are wrong with the NHS in its delivery or its process, not its theory though. What was it that got you in the end?
There was nobody there for me.
Wow.
There was no one there for me to talk to, and I was on the front line, and it was in our tricky time that we had in 2020, and I was giving advice that didn't resonate with me and my life experience, and I had no one to talk to.
So what was your department, if you don't mind me asking?
So it was a healthcare advisor, so counter side to help people with their health issues and their ailments and recommending certain pharmaceutical interventions.
Yeah. Can I, without putting you in any situation, don't answer this if this seems too cryptic, but is there a lot of, so let's just say, stimulation from pharmaceutical companies to recommend certain types of what they might laughingly call antidotes to what, so say, people have got?
There's incentive.
Yeah, because I did wonder that my dentist, and I hope she's watching, 3 years ago told me to get a new electric toothbrush. Now, I wouldn't have minded if she'd have bought it for me, but actually she gave me a little leaflet of this little thing, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. Go to Boots or any other pharmaceutical company that has got electric toothbrushes, no doubt, or whatever, pharmaceutical, any place. Anyway, point is, I still got the same electric toothbrush that I had when she recommended that, right? That was 3 years ago. Now I'm thinking I didn't take the advice because I thought, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Just change the heads, right? That's what it is. But then I thought, wait a minute, what about all the people who just blindly go along with what they're told by governments, by the hierarchy? They unquestionably don't question the fact that Prince Andrew was at the SOSE being investigated for pretty heinous association with Jeffrey Epstein, let alone everything else. 100% associated with that. All of a sudden, he's not in hiding anymore, and that's acceptable. What sort of society are we in? So going back to the NHS and the stimulation to recommend certain things, did that make you feel? Did that pull against your integrity?
It pulled against my integrity, my values. I've kind of been on quite a self-discovery journey since 15. So I've always wanted to learn and grow. I think that was definitely part of my soul's growth to learn about the healthcare system.
Yeah.
But then I've learned that we have a universal system and universal law, and it would never sat with me and my inner core values.
Yeah.
So it was just time to leave. That it was just enough was enough, and that was it.
Right. And you say that you made that jump without having a lifeboat, really, something to jump into in between times. You were so
Being a job.
Yeah.
I didn't have a job to go to. I had tried to jump ship in the October before, and then I bottled it.
Yeah.
I was going to go find a way with living with a partner, and that didn't work out. And I can see why that didn't work out. It just wasn't, our core values weren't aligned. But then things happened, as we know, and I got to about the July, and I kind of really got this guidance that if you don't go, you're going to kill yourself.
Wow.
Not literally kill myself,
but metaphorically, soulfully,
you're killing yourself.
yeah.
Your soul,
Burnout.
I was so dead inside, and I was on burnout, and I had physical injury, plantar fasciitis and a damaged hip.
Yeah.
And I was on my feet all day long, and I used to cry every single time I came home.
Wow.
You know, that's the truth and the reality of myself and a lot of people in that sector.
Yeah.
And I felt there was no help and support. So I had no job to go to, but I had been working on my side hustle.
Yeah.
Every night when I came home.
So explain
from
your side hustle. I'm intrigued.
So my side hustle is personal coaching and mentoring, and I coach healers, coaches, therapists, entrepreneurs even, to unlock their potential.
Right.
And I use that with holistic healing practices and therapies and tools and techniques to help unlock people's truth within themselves, their life path.
Yeah.
Because I believe we've been born with all the gifts inside us.
Yeah.
And it takes someone like a life coach or a mentor just to encourage and just to bring out from the subconscious all those wonderful gifts and talents.
And do you think that's because we don't have a tribal type of structure where people would happily be able to trust in their medicine, personal wisdom? Back in the day, it would be probably lots of women that the male patriarchal society decided to burn because they were so scared of their power, who were actually in touch with nature and coming up with all sorts of everything comes from nature, even though anything that's adulterated by humanity is obviously adulterated, but it's fundamentally everything comes from the earth, and it comes from, what's is it the second law of thermodynamics? You can't create or destroy energy. So that whole interrelation. So give me some, or give me nothing. Give us an example of the types of therapy that you're talking about, and I'm presuming that they would be maybe classified or diagnosed. I'm an idiot. As alternative therapy. What are you talking about?
Well, this is it. It's complementary therapy, and this is.
Oh, you look good in that. That works.
Complementary, absolutely. And just going back a little to how I kind of knew I was guided to go work in the pharmaceutical industry.
Sorry, I'm just looking at Georgia. I've got to look at her. She's just looking at it. It's like nothing. How dare you? Carry on. Go on. I do apologise.
I was guided.
I've got ADHD.
I was guided very much that I felt I had a past life working with medicine.
Really?
So it was that sort of a herbal medicine lady
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
past life. So it was like I was curious to learn more in the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
But I then
Right.
went on and trained in a more holistic way
Yeah.
with aloe vera is an amazing inner healing plant. And so it was circumstances through my worst adversity, having a terrible skin condition, that I knew there was things on the counter, but I knew they weren't the long-term solution, that I looked for alternatives. So I worked for a holistic chiropractor, and I used to then be her PA, and therapists would come in regularly to that clinic. And then I met someone who did tapping. So thought field therapy and freedom technique is a therapy that I trained in.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things
Can you just explain, because that's really interesting, could you explain a little bit the principles of tapping, just so people...
So the basics of tapping is diffusing energy and emotions. So it only takes 90 seconds. Say per se you feel anger, it only takes 90 seconds per se for it to infiltrate your body, and then if you've got the right tools and techniques to diffuse it, then it can dissipate.
Right.
Now if you keep fueling anger, it can erupt and erupt. But if you dissipate it with something like tapping, there's certain points here. You can tap, you can diffuse it in the right way. It's an incredible
Is that,
technique.
do you think, because you are psychologically refocusing your brain so that the cortisol, I'm presuming, is what's going through your system, right? Your fight and flight type of scenario, that if you, like counting to 10, I'm not saying it's as simple as counting to 10, are there specific places on the body that you'd have to tap each time? That it's not just a random, I'm going to tap my elbow today because if I do this long enough, I'll stop thinking about why I'm so angry. I'll stop thinking about what a corrupt government we've got. I won't have enough elbows.
It's neutralising. So it's diffusing and it's neutralising. It's basically, it's pattern breaking.
Right.
So we want to break the patterns.
Is it physical manifestation of cognitive behavioural therapy type thing?
Yeah, well...
What's that? What do you think about that?
Well, it's definitely about us reframing our thoughts and our feelings.
Yeah.
But we live in a cyclic, patterned universe, multi-dimensional universe, and we, I believe, get to choose what timeline we have our life experience in. That's in basics. I'm sure Claire could talk about that at another time in a much deeper level. But we can pattern break these cyclic patterns that we have, and tapping is one of those very simple tools.
Yeah,
we can
so on a day-to-day basis, without it being, I know nothing about past life regression or any of those things, and why not? Not why not that I don't know about them, because I don't know about most things. But I mean, there's no perfect explanation of the meaning of our lives. No. Unfortunately, that the people that have been, I guess, the 1% that have, through history, been the type of psychology that have led us to the disaster, the environmental disaster that we are now involved in because of capitalism and because of mass production of stuff that we don't necessarily need. We've come off kilter, haven't we? Both psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. So do you think that what you're talking about is also connected to the missing element of spirituality that people sometimes have done, and why not, been coerced into having an organised religion, and look at where that's got us?
Wow.
Yeah, well, I know I'm kind of scattergunning it, but do you know what I mean? Is there a connection with the spiritual dimension that you're talking about?
There is, in that I didn't feel empowered in the job I was doing because I didn't love it. I hated it. So the opposite of hate is love. So I followed love and self-love and learnt tools and strategies to keep myself in my own alignment with what feeds my soul.
Yeah.
And
let's just do this
the
one
key.
second.
That is
Let
the
me just
key.
do this. Just because we get lots of people coming shop and it's lovely, and some people play thingies, but it's
it's
fine.
a great environment.
No, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's real. It's real. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
So I followed what I loved, and I followed what nurtured and nourished my soul. and I fed myself
Right.
what I needed and let me guide my life forward. And so that's where you almost
But you have an
a bit-
inkling. You had
Yeah.
an inkling. So this is
Yeah.
so what you're
I
saying.
had a knowing.
Right, and you also have an awareness, and you also talk
Yeah.
about that each person needs a guide or a mentor, and I think a lot of civilizations think that
Yeah.
to get us through. In various cultures, you have walkabout, you have all those different awareness.
Or a sage. Or
Yeah,
a-
absolutely.
all
Oh no,
of these-
100%.
yeah,
Or a
all-
Shanachie in Ireland, or a
100%.
people that have a culture or a oral history of something which helps us kind of feel a sense of that lineage and belonging
Yeah,
and survival
belonging.
and what have you.
Very much
But
so.
unfortunately, because it's been so corrupted by, I was brought up or indoctrinated into the Irish Catholic Church, which, let's face it, it ain't got a necessary. How that still exists as an organisation, considering the amount of exposed sexual abuse to children, is beyond
Unbelievable.
But
Yeah.
Church of England, how anyone supports that? If you read the reports into the Church of England, it beggars belief. And it's like, what is going on in the world then? That for not 2,000 years, because again, this is the other thing that Christians don't get. That if Constantine hadn't voted and decided to advocate for Christianity, they wouldn't be Christians. Likewise, they wouldn't be Christians if they lived in Riyadh, type of thing. So people, how they get influence and how they get their information is part of the reason why we go in this cycle that I think you're talking about.
Yeah.
That we're led by our noses into believing that a certain type of conformity allows us the freedom to get on with our lives, which fundamentally are actually, unfortunately, in our society, just about making other people lots of money, damaging our environment, our social environment, and our social net value as a society, because everyone's competing. So the underlying emotional and psychological estate for our communities is that of competitiveness, not common unity, that which unifies us commonly. How would you get that message across? Not in this podcast, because the only people that watch this are the people that I'm usually criticising. Am I right? All you people sitting there going, I don't believe he's saying that again. Who is this guy? We've got to destroy him.
It's about going back to basics, and it's about creating micro communities.
Conservatives always say about going back. Please never use that term. You'll be hung.
It's
not by
about
me.
going to create micro community.
Yeah.
And we're influenced by the 5 key people that we have around ourselves in our environment. So the environment that I was in, I wasn't nurtured, or I wasn't thriving, I was just surviving.
Yeah.
So I had to step outside of that, which
Name
was
the
my
5
comfort.
people or those things. Would they just who would they be?
Well, no, for me, I have a mentor. I have my family.
Yeah.
My parents.
Yeah.
They're an influence.
Yeah.
And they help me with my growth. I have my peer group.
Yeah.
So you can easily get a good solid 5 people around you that can help
5 elements.
You. And you can also have 5 elements.
Yeah.
You go deep. All these deep layers. It's multifaceted, and it's not. This is quite a complex conversation in just a small time.
Yeah. But I'm hoping that some people get so annoyed they actually go and research some of the stuff we talk about.
Well, they can.
Where would they get
you talk about?
Yeah. No, they have to research what you're talking about as well.
Yeah.
So there'll be links that we'll put up to your organisation. Because what is that organisation? How has that come about, and how are you linked?
So it was my side hustle.
Yeah.
So personalbreakthroughs.co.uk is my coaching and mentoring. So I help people unlock their full potential, gifts and talents, and help them to unlock their life vision as well, because some people don't know how to do that. And luckily I had a vision, even though I was staring out the window, depressed. I knew, because I've been working on my vision for 5 years, to sell my house and be mortgage free. So I teach that.
Well, sell your house and be mortgage free, but surely then you're house free as well.
When I bought another house, but I'm still mortgage free.
Get it, nice.
So I downsized, I cut my bills back, I live a more frugal life.
Yeah.
But I am busy doing 2 things right now, which is, one thing is the People's Health Alliance, Wiltshire Health Hub, which is for the people, by the people.
Yeah.
And basically it's a people-led organisation. It's an initiative project for helping support bridging the gap for natural health. we're bridging the gap where it's just not being filled by our current healthcare system,
Yeah.
with helping therapists, coaches to get their work out there, to be a much more responsive service through hubs. So it's
Yeah.
super exciting.
Yeah, how many people are involved so far? Where are they situated, and how could people get involved?
Well, there's about 5,000 people up and down the country
Right.
in hubs.
Yeah.
So anybody who wants to get in touch, they can find it at the pha.org. I think it's www.the-pha.org.
You can
But we
communicate
can
with the wonderful Georgia, because
Yeah.
she's the brains. Her and Maya behind this operation.
Yeah.
If you write that down, we'll put it on the podcast so that people
Yeah.
can link.
Yeah.
And what sort of success have you got in Wiltshire then? What's happening here?
Well, we've got 74 members.
Perfect.
In 6 weeks, so that says
Fantastic.
a lot.
Yeah.
We're doing a happy dance movement event on Sunday, 10 o'clock at John Coles Park,
Yeah.
which is what it says on the tin. So it's happy dance movement.
Yeah.
Double meaning going on
Yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah.
movement.
Yeah.
And that's one of our community event projects.
Yeah.
Looking to do things with art, creativity, music that can come under the umbrella of projects.
Yeah.
Because it helps for us to tune into our creativity and our inspiration, and also when we go back to finding ourselves, who actually we are as a unique individual. So I'm doing that, and then I'm building a multi-functional platform online for coaching called the Holistic Healers Hub, and that is a peer-to-peer learning.
Holistic Healers Hub.
Yes.
I like the alliteration.
Yes.
That sounds healthy,
It's here.
wholesome,
And
halitosis, halloumi, Halloween, happy.
yeah, that's exciting project.
That's good.
So that
74
is-
people from what sort of backgrounds? I know it sounds so.
So,
Right, yeah. Give
so
us a,
it's for the general public to
Right.
be signposted.
Yeah.
For health-related issues, to get the good, responsive advice
Yeah.
from people that have been through similar experiences themselves.
Yeah.
And then it's therapists, even doctors,
Yeah.
nurses, care workers, home education projects. It's super exciting.
Cool.
And it's growing organically. I'm not even trying. I'm just literally showing up with suggestion
Yeah.
and there to support. And it's a great energy exchange for me to be
Yeah.
around
Do
people.
people physically meet up, or is it a Zoom?
At the moment it's on Telegram.
Yeah.
So it's PHA Wiltshire Health Hub on Telegram.
Yeah.
Invitation only,
Yeah.
but it can be found through PHA.
Have you got
And
leaflets
we
in the
need to-
shop, in the social hub of positivity in Chippenham,
Well, we don't
Emily
have any
Gate, Wiltshire?
If we have some sponsorship,
Yeah.
we could do things like leaflets and banners and things like that, but that will come.
Yeah.
I'm
Where are you
looking-
based? Where are you personally based?
I'm based in Chippenham,
Uh-huh.
Birdsmarsh View. So I bought a new build
Cool.
up at the top. And it's online,
Yeah.
and we'll meet bi-weekly online, and then we will meet face-to-face once a month
Cool.
at a local
Where?
venue. The Wellesley Arms at the moment, or
Yeah.
the Langley Tap, one or
Cool.
the other, depending on the group and where we
Yeah,
want to go for
yeah.
a walk or something.
I like the
But yeah.
fact that it's either or, but both
Yeah.
pubs. That's got a healthy understanding of the demographic of the world.
Yeah, they're a lovely group of people there.
Cool. Of
Really
course, you could always
friendly and
come and congregate at the hub. I'm sure the good people here would
Yeah.
quite happily share the space on various occasions. Lots of different organisations here.
Well, it
which
could
is
be a
really-
pop-up. My intention is not necessarily to own a building or anything like that,
Yeah.
because it's a collaborative project,
Well,
but it's a pop-up.
Perfect. What we're trying to do
Yeah.
here, and that's why there's lots of different organisations and people
Yeah.
and individuals.
Yeah.
I think I might have said individuals twice. I'm quite big on individuals coming together, sharing the space. We've got the poetry group, we've got the
Yeah.
man share, we've got lots of brilliant people coming in, and there's all sorts
Yeah.
of initiatives.
Yeah.
We've got George, come on, you know what I'm going to say. What is it? What I'm trying to say? What's it? The Disability and Awareness Week
Disability, yeah.
coming up. So we have lots of different workshops and what have you. And it'd be
And
interesting.
diversity, it's
Yeah.
here, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
It's
really accessible in the centre of
Yeah.
our town,
yeah.
and wheelchair friendly, as they say, to the extent that you can come in here, have a meeting, have a drink or whatever, and then there's public toilets which are disability suitable as well.
Yeah.
So please do that. But failing that only because I'm thinking that if you don't live in walking distance of the Wellesley, or excuse me, I appear to be exploding. I don't know why every time I do these things, you don't notice I kind of do a lot of hiccuping. Was that something psychosomatic? Or was it just really bizarre? Just overweight. I've got to admit it, my health's all over the place. Anyway.
Oh, I love your authenticity.
You'll be one of the very few people. Thank you for that, though.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I'm saying this about meeting here is because this is the biggest town, most poorly represented by people like the mayor that we've got and whatever, or photo op Alstrom, as I like to call her. But it is still one of the biggest towns, and getting massively destroyed by overdevelopment, underinvestment, infrastructure. We've got all sorts of problems, apparently. If you look in the news, I don't know if you've been looking about young people running amok. Partly, I guess, because instead of having the bridge centre, which we should have, and community groups using it as a community centre, we've got a car park for the council workers. Great planning, great thinking. Instead of having a local grant-giving authority like Borough Lands, which is supposed to be for the people, I think it might have changed. I don't know if they've changed the tenets of their charity, but they look like they're trying to make this a completely middle-class town, which is laughable but dangerous, because the people that are actually there making decisions do not have as far as I'm concerned, professionally, have the interests of the greater public of Chippenham. Sort of all questions I'm asking them about how that climbing wall, for instance, come about. Why would you spend so much money on such a niche thing? That sort of stuff. So as you're living in Chippenham, I'm thinking, why don't you base your thing in Chippenham instead of going out to Langley Tap? Not wrong with the Langley Tap, prefer the Foxham and the Rising Sun of Christian Mulford.
Yeah. Well, the whole point of creating it to be pop-up.
Yeah.
It can pop up.
Well, do you want to do it here, just because I would like to observe it, if that's all right.
Yeah, well,
So
like
I'm
I say,
keen to
we need some sponsorship for banners and leaflets and things
Why do you
like
need
that.
banners and leaflets? Just tell people to come here.
Information. Yeah, we certainly can do. Absolutely.
Can do? No, we can do.
Oh yeah.
Oh, stop it, you.
We can. Yeah,
But I just think that if it's going, I don't know many of the answers. I know a lot of the problems that are occurring in our hometown Chippenham, and a lot to do with the local councillors particularly. We've got some right interesting people that obviously haven't got a clue what they're doing and couldn't have the best interest of the whole of the community. But that's coming back to bite them, as they can see, as our community gets more dislocated by lack of emotional understanding, and people, I guess they must be kind of in their own way, I don't know about feathering their nests, but they must be doing something to their ego or to something that they can oppose the people that do the better things in the community, just so that they can keep control of a very poor service, etc., etc. But you haven't been here that long, have you?
No, so I can't comment.
No, don't comment, but I'm commenting, so I'm giving this information because I want them to hear this, but we can't stop until they're no longer in those positions, because we've got a real problem in Chippenham.
Yeah, the PHA
and this is the same for everywhere else.
For the people, by the people.
Yeah.
So it's definitely set up by ex-NHS staff,
Yeah.
doctors, and it's a movement. So it's popping up all over the country.
Wow.
So once again, there is just pretty much me running the group at the moment. So I'm looking for admins, I'm looking for moderators, I'm looking for people that will help on the forum.
Yeah.
So the potential is there.
What's the big vision for it then? What would you say the collective or the shared vision as it develops is?
Well, they really do want to have hubs in every single town. They really do, and that's very, very possible. And they like I say, they want to bridge and fill the gap. There's no competition going on here. It isn't that, like I say, we are grateful for parts of the NHS that do a grand job, but
Absolutely.
some parts just are falling flat on their face, and that's when people are not getting that kind of health service that they really need, that's not responsive.
But would you say that's also about the psychology behind like when you've got, unfortunately, capitalists who are running a country who definitely don't want, they wanted to, think about this. We used to have a public gas and electricity company in water. Ever remember this? There's no way in the world that if we still owed them as a country, we would be putting at prices so that our own poor individuals couldn't afford to live. That's Thatcher and all those conservatives out there. Look at you, sitting there thinking, wow, you totally undermined our society. Well done. However, they want to do the same. They did it with the prison service. They want what they've got in America. It's an industrialization of the criminal justice system. So you have to, that's why the education system is so poorly funded, so that you create people so desperate, like my father, bless him, to provide for their children that they're prepared to go to foreign countries and risk their lives to protect the lines of wealth for these absolute buffoons that we've got leading us. So when you've got a psychology and you think about it, you know, why England became a rich country, it wasn't because it was a friendly go-getter, let's be kind to our neighbours. It literally robbed and raped its way around this planet. So there's a lot of making up to do. How you debrief and think, how does this? Well, it affects the psyche because simultaneously the education system is invested in. They've stolen the family jewels of the water, the gas, and the electricity, and the National Health Service is one of those last bastions of what people would agree is one of the best elements of this society, is the shared opportunity, at least, to have free at the point of use a health system. But you know yourself as a former, I was going to say, courageous soldier in that fight, that you're up against, you're almost fighting a losing battle, deliberately underfunded by the Tories, set particularly, but Labour haven't done much better.
Set up to fail, set up to 100%. Create codependency.
Yeah, there you go, 100%.
Codependency is but you know, when you're on something for the people, you know, for the people, by the people, and then you notice that you need good people, and they're not there. You know, we'll see. It's all going to break down to build back up, and it's
100%. Oh, I know. So I believe in people. I just don't believe in the elites.
Good people,
and our mayor.
And we will succeed in our own way. It will just take the time, and I think it's just having good people around you, micro communities, like you say. This is definitely a harbour community, and we can only do that for now, and then co-create, collaborate, and then together
collaborate. Come on, people, do not wait. Listen to this lady. I think she's great. Go on then, Joe. It's your turn now. Rap. If you can't rap, what you're saying ain't true.
That is so wrong.
Okay. Right, we'll leave it there. But listen, what we will do though is we'll put out all the information to contact you on this, your organisation, or anything else you want to put up there, unless it's supporting the Conservative. But we will also. It would be great to have get people to come in and meet you and talk to you. Lots of people come in and see Claire on a regular basis. I was going to
say, Claire is here, so we can have Claire as that point of contact.
Yeah. And it's well worth a visit, actually. She'll probably end up. How often do you come in here?
I come down to town at least once a week.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Is so whilst we still have this space and place to share amongst all these wonderful organisations and people.
Yeah. Well, we can work that out. There's lots of people, as I say. I'm building the county. So it isn't just Chippenham, but we've got people in the Chippenham area that will definitely be able to help support this, get this off the ground. So it's super exciting.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really excited, and good luck with what you're doing. Anyone out there that wants to either come and do a podcast, it'd be good if some of the town councillors did. Like, you know, the ones that did the ones before, like Liz Elstrom, photo op. Come and do another podcast and tell us how you've been getting on since all those things that you promised us when you first did those meetings with us. And anyone else that wants to do another political podcast, just so that people can see between what you said last time you were doing these podcasts and what you've done since. Keep it real, people. If you can't keep it real, pretend you're doing a good job. Am I right? Nice one. Take it easy. Good luck. Thank you, Joanne. Cheers. Hello, people.